As Kermit the Frog once said, it ain't easy being green. And for the world's richest 1%, that couldn't be more true. As it turns out, that richest 1% are major carbon emitters. According to a report from Oxfam, the richest 1% emitted double the carbon that the poorest half emitted during a 25-year span to 2015. Poorest half was made up of 3 billion people, so the richest 1% of humanity emitted more carbon than 3.1 billion people, times 2. That's a lot of carbon, mainly due to what Oxfam describes as the overconsumption of a wealthy minority. During the 25-year study period, humanity doubled the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. But it's not just the richest 1% that are contributing to increased pollution, although they are responsible for 15% of the increase. The richest 10% accounted for more than half of the emissions that were added to the atmosphere during those 25 years. Annual carbon emissions grew by 60% during that time, with the richest 5% responsible for a third of the increase. And the figures are growing more disparate. The increase in emissions of the richest 1% was 3 times that of the poorest 50%. And it makes sense. According to Credit Suisse Global Wealth Report, the world's richest 1% own 44% of the world's wealth. If you're wondering whether you're in the top 1% category, the generally accepted threshold for being included in the top 1% is having more than $1 million. Perhaps most startling was that even if all other emissions were cut to zero, the richest 10% of humanity would blow the carbon budget by 2033. That bears repeating. The richest 10% would still put us over the top for the carbon the world can emit to keep us within the 1.5C goal, even if everyone else stopped emitting carbon completely. For the goal to be achievable, the richest 10% would need to be 10 times lower by 2030. This would be like cutting everyone's annual emissions by 1/3. Oxfam's solution? To tax the wealthy and ban what it calls luxury carbon, which it classifies as both SUVs and frequent flying. SUVs, however, are driven by the masses, not just the richest 10%. What about the ultra-high net worth individuals? The ones that have more than $30 million. We don't know how much carbon they emit specifically, but this group holds 7.2% of the total global wealth, even though they made up 0.002% of the world's population. We're guessing they are disproportionately high carbon emitters too.